Welcome to a new Wooting 2HE update. It's going to be a short one because last month we already covered that we finished mass production, or at least mass production was coming very soon. Now we completed the mass production, which is great, but where are the keyboards? Well, I was looking at the quality control report and everything looked great, from the keyboard to the packaging. It was all complete until the moment I saw the labels on the US ANSI keyboards. It was the wrong label. And it was the wrong label because it said it was the version without keycaps. But as you might know, all the US versions, US ANSI versions, now come with PBT keycaps pre-installed. So we can't have that mistake. Now you would think, okay, just relabel it, just sticker over the old label and get it done with. And that is kind of true. There's just one big problem. Everything was packed already inside the master carton and everything was already shrink wrapped. Now, what does shrink wrapping mean? What you can see here is a Wooting 2HE box with shrink wrap. So there's a plastic shrink wrap over the whole keyboard and the label is underneath the shrink wrap. It's directly onto the box. So if we want to relabel it, we have to remove the shrink wrap, then stick over the old label and then reapply the shrink wrap and then put it back into the carton for shipping. Now, we can't just stick it over the shrink wrap itself, because if we do that, you receive the keyboard, you remove the shrink wrap, you throw it away, and then you have the wrong barcode label onto the keyboard. If you have any issue with the keyboard and you have to communicate which version you have, for example, or you send it back to the warehouse, they will mislabel it, stock it wrong. It'll be very confusing. Not a good thing. Now, the process of removing the shrink wrap and applying it again takes a lot more time than just sticking over some labels. So we communicated with the factory. They would perform the action of remove everything, do the old actions, but we also needed to wait until the printing company would print out all the new labels for this model. And that also takes some time because that doesn't happen inside the factory itself. Well, all that stuff took much longer than I anticipated or that I wanted it to take. We finished it by last week, but by that time we already finished another production of the Wooting 2HE, but a much smaller one. So I decided, okay, we might just bundle it all together and ship it together instead of shipping it separate. There's just about 1 week difference between the two. And now finally, they're on the boat or on an airplane on its way to the warehouse. Now, as you know, we have different batches. So we have a batch going to the Netherlands, which is for the international and European store. It's called batch EU Kappa. Then we have another batch going to the North American store for US and Canada. That one is called NA Lambda. Now, the EU Kappa batch is going to arrive very soon, actually this week already, because it's shipped by air freight, so we can ship out the pre-orders as soon as we can, much faster than usual. And we expect to start shipments next week, which is the 9th until the 13th of May. EU NA Lambda, however, is by sea freight instead of by air freight. We did actually consider shipping it by air freight, but as I might have covered in the previous update, the air freight cost is not only very expensive, in this case it was also very lengthy. So usually air freight would take up to 10 working days before it would arrive at the warehouse. In this case, it would take at least 20 working days, while sea freight would take about 30 working days. So I decided, well, that's not worth all the additional cost for which we're also not charging you. So it's all going by sea freight instead. I expect we can ship NA Lambda by the start of June, and I'll keep you updated if there's any more information, or especially if it's any sooner or later. Now that kind of covers it all for the Wooting 2HE. There's going to be some significant utility updates that you can look forward to. Just a little bit longer. We're doing our best to have everything on stock and start shipping as soon as we can. And otherwise, until another update. Bye bye.